Our souls scream sometimes, but no sound can get out. We ask ourselves as we stand motionless in that void, why, in spite of everything, do I feel so empty inside? Despite everything I've accomplished, including love and success? This is not a novel question. The same terrible emptiness faced a man sitting in a shadowy corner 900 years ago. Imam Al-Ghazali was his name. A scholar, a philosopher, and a broken heart seeking answers. He once wrote, "I have sought certainty since I was a young man. Instead of being a decision or a ploy on my part, it has been a natural instinct and a gift from God." This existential turmoil is a problem that even the brightest minds struggle with. What am I really looking for? In his prime, he was a well-respected, affluent professor who lectured thousands of people in Baghdad. His soul felt hollow. He said, "I found myself unable to teach, unable to speak. My tongue would not utter a single word." Imagine losing the ability to speak because your soul silently screams. This is what happens when we live a life disconnected from the truth of our hearts. We fill our days with tasks and achievements, yet leave the soul thirsty. We build towering structures, houses, positions, relationships, forgetting that inside, a different kind of care is needed. The emptiness you feel is not a flaw. It is your soul's awakening, a signal that something is missing. Not something to buy, achieve, or find in another person, but something to remember. Al-Ghazali did not realize his collapse was actually the beginning of his true birth. At his crisis point, he left everything behind: status, fame, financial security, even his wife and children, and left Baghdad as a man in search of something unnamed. He later wrote, "When I considered my words and deeds, they were the vilest of things. I saw myself on the edge of a steep cliff, about to fall into fire if I did not change my ways." I understand the depth of those words. On the edge of a steep cliff. Isn't that how we sometimes feel? The ground beneath us cracks. Everything we've built crumbles. But what we do not realize is that this breaking is necessary. The soul sometimes must shatter, to rearrange itself, like a broken bone that heals stronger than before. Al-Ghazali understood something profound. Doubt is not the enemy of certainty, it is the path to it. He examined everything he had learned, every rule followed, every truth accepted. He put them all under a microscope. What if everything I know is wrong? What if I am living someone else's life? This question is frightening, but also freeing. When you doubt everything, you reach the core. What cannot be taken away from you? Your true essence. Al-Ghazali discovered that there are different levels of knowledge. There is intellectual knowledge, which is important but limited. And there is knowledge of the heart, which transforms you from within. Think about something you know in your mind, but don't feel. You know smoking is harmful, but you still smoke. You know anger destroys relationships, but you still get angry. You know staying up late exhausts you, but you still do it. This disconnect between what we know and what we live is the source of emptiness. We live in our heads, disconnected from our hearts. Al-Ghazali realized that the path to certainty is through direct experience, not books or theories. You must live the truth, not just read about it. This is why he left everything behind and began a journey to find his true self. The desert teaches something the city never can: true silence. Al-Ghazali spent years wandering, from Damascus to Jerusalem to the Hijaz. But the real journey was within. He learned to sit with himself, without escaping into books, arguments, or opinions. How many of us can sit in silence for 5 minutes, without checking our phones, without thinking of a to-do list, without replaying yesterday's conversation? Al-Ghazali discovered that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something deeper. In those moments when all external and internal noises stop, you begin to hear the beat of your true soul. He wrote with certainty that the Sufis, the seekers of God's path, are those who walk the best path, with the purest morals and highest ethics. But what does it mean to be a seeker of God's path? Does it mean monks and mystics only? No, it means anyone who searches for truth with their heart, not just their mind. Anyone who wants to live authentically, not by imitation. anyone who seeks meaning beyond appearances. Here is a simple exercise Al-Ghazali lived. Sit in a quiet place. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. And ask yourself, who am I when I remove all the roles I play? Who am I when I am not an employee, spouse, parent, or friend? Who am I at my very core? Don't try to answer with your mind, just feel. Let the question seep deep into you like water soaking into earth. Al-Ghazali spent months in this kind of meditation. He wasn't looking for complex philosophical answers. He sought something simpler and deeper. The feeling of true presence. At first, he felt anxious and bored. His mind was used to debate, analysis, and discussion. Suddenly, it was demanded to be quiet. But gradually, he began to feel something different. A peace that doesn't come from solving problems, but from accepting their existence. A joy that needs no external reason. A fullness that does not depend on possessing anything. This is what the mystics call taste, to taste truth with your heart, not just understand it with your mind. One night, sitting under a starry sky, Al-Ghazali realized something startling. The emptiness he felt was not due to a lack in his life, but because of too many empty things in it. We fill our lives with things that don't nourish the soul, then wonder why we feel hungry. It's like eating candy all day, then wondering why your body feels weak. He wrote, "Know that the heart is like a vessel. When filled with something, it leaves no room for anything else." This sentence holds a deep secret. Your heart is like a small cup. If filled with worry, there's no space for peace. If filled with fear, there's no space for trust. If filled with material things, there's no room for spirituality. Al-Ghazali discovered that most people live in a constant intoxication. Not from wine, but from distraction. From busyness. From chasing things that don't matter. We chase money to buy things we don't need. To impress people we don't love. In jobs that don't move our hearts. Then wonder why we feel empty. This is what Al-Ghazali called heedlessness. To live asleep while awake. To be physically present but spiritually absent. Think about yesterday. How many hours were you truly present? How often were you doing something but thinking of something else? How often were you with people but your heart was elsewhere? Al-Ghazali said, "The world is the farm of the afterlife, and worship is the path to it." But what does worship mean here? Is it just prayer and fasting? No. True worship is living consciously. To be present in every moment. To taste your food. To feel the ground beneath your feet. To truly listen to your friend, not just wait for your turn to speak. Al-Ghazali understood that paradise is not only a place after death. Paradise is a state of awareness we can live here and now. And hell is the opposite. To live heedlessly, disconnected from your soul, chasing things that don't satisfy. That is hell. When you are present, connected, aware, and full of peace. That is paradise. The question now is, where do you live? Listen to your soul calling from deep within. Enough running. Enough denial. Enough postponing the true meeting with yourself. Al-Ghazali spent years on this journey. Years of trial and error, falling and rising, discovering. In the end, he reached a simple and astonishing truth. He wrote, "I learned with certainty that the masters of states are not those who speak much. And what can be achieved by knowledge I have achieved. What remains can only be attained not through hearing and learning but through taste and spiritual states." Taste and spiritual states, not through reading or theories. You must taste your life, not just analyze it. You now stand at the same crossroads where Al-Ghazali stood 9 centuries ago. You can choose the path of heedlessness. To continue chasing things that don't satisfy. To fill your days with busyness to avoid facing the emptiness within. Or you can choose the path of awakening. To begin the journey back to your true self. To learn how to sit with your silence without fear. To discover that peace does not come from achieving all your dreams, but from accepting who you are right now. This does not mean giving up ambition or growth. It means doing all of that from a different place. A place of fullness, not lack. Al-Ghazali learned that true happiness does not come from adding new things to his life, but from removing the veils that prevent you from seeing the beauty already there. You are not broken and in need of fixing. You are whole and in need of remembering. If this call moves something inside you, if your soul says, yes, this is what I've been searching for, do not let this moment pass. Click like if this message touched your heart. Subscribe if you want to continue this journey with us. And comment these words if you're ready. I am ready to begin. I am ready to return to my true self. Because the real journey begins when you admit you're lost. And true healing begins when you stop running from your pain and start understanding its message. When Al-Ghazali decided to return to teaching after 10 years of wandering, he was not the same man who left Baghdad. He had learned a deep secret: to live in the world without letting the world live in you. This does not mean isolation or escaping responsibilities. It means being fully present in all you do, without losing yourself in the roles you play. He wrote, "He who knows himself knows his Lord." This is not just a philosophical phrase. It is a roadmap to return to your truth. What does knowing yourself really mean? Not knowing you love coffee or hate noise, that's superficial. True self-knowledge means seeing the deep patterns that shape your life. Understanding why you repeat the same mistakes, why you are drawn to certain toxic people, why you fear some things or avoid certain situations. Al-Ghazali discovered that most of our actions do not come from conscious choice, but from unconscious programs implanted since childhood. If you feel the need to please everyone, it may be because you learned early on that love is conditional on obedience. If you fear failure, it might be because you tied your self-worth to achievements. If you feel lonely even among people, it could be because you hide parts of your true self. Afraid of rejection. These unconscious programs are like colored glasses, distorting how you see the world without realizing it. Self-knowledge means removing these glasses, seeing reality as it is, not as you fear or wish it to be. Al-Ghazali developed practical exercises for this. Here is one. At the end of each day, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, when today did I have a strong emotional reaction? When was I angry, afraid, sad, or frustrated? Don't justify or blame others. Simply observe, inquire. What is this emotion attempting to convey to me about myself? For instance, if you become upset when someone doesn't respond to you, it could indicate that you require attention in order to feel appreciated. If you're concerned about not responding to work messages right away, it could indicate that you're afraid of disappointing people or losing their favor. Self-observation like this gradually releases you from being a slave to unintentional responses. Al-Ghazali was a soul healer in addition to being a philosopher. He realized that there is a remedy for every spiritual ailment, and there is a cure for all emotional suffering. He penned, "If the light of knowledge is absent from the heart, it resembles a dark house without any direction." However, what is this knowledge-based light? It is awareness, the ability to see what is happening inside you without judgment, to observe your thoughts and feelings, like clouds in the sky, present, changing, but not you. Most people live merged with their thoughts and feelings. If they feel sad, they say, "I am sad." If fear comes, they say, "I am afraid." But Al-Ghazali taught something different. You are not your feelings or thoughts. The awareness that observes them is you. This is a freeing revelation. Even in the most dire circumstances, one aspect of you is unaltered, able to observe and make decisions. Al-Ghazali created what we could refer to as an outline of spiritual illnesses and how to treat them. Carelessness is the first disease. Symptoms include living in a robotic manner and not being aware of the present. Meditation and mindfulness are the cure. Pride is the second illness. Symptoms include a sense of superiority and a comparison addiction. Cure: practicing humility and thankfulness. Envy is the third disease. Symptoms include wanting what others have and being unhappy with what you have. Cure: cultivate thankfulness and concentrate on your own blessings. Greed is the fourth disease. Signs include an unquenchable desire for more. Cure: cultivate generosity and contentment. Fear is the fifth disease. Symptoms include excessive anxiety and a reluctance to try new things. Cure. Practice contentment and generosity. The fifth disease. Fear. Symptoms. Excessive anxiety, avoidance of new experiences. Cure. Gradually build confidence and face small fears. But Al-Ghazali realized something deeper. All these diseases have one root. Forgetfulness. Forgetfulness of who we really are. Forgetfulness of our connection to the source. Forgetfulness that everything in life is temporary and changing. Accept our true essence. When you remember, you begin to see problems differently. You stop asking, how do I get rid of this pain? And start asking, what is this pain trying to teach me? You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I grow through this experience? This shift in perspective is the beginning of true healing. In one of the hardest periods of his journey, Al-Ghazali wrote, know that patience is faith's head. If the head is cut off, the body dies. But what is patience here? Is it passive endurance, or something deeper? Al-Ghazali understood true patience is not waiting, it is an act of power. A deep trust that life knows what it is doing. We live in a fast-paced era. We want instant results, quick healing, rapid growth within a week. But the soul has a different rhythm. The rhythm of seasons, the rhythm of natural growth. Al-Ghazali spent years on this transformative journey. In our time, we get frustrated when we don't see radical changes in a month. But he learned an important truth. True transformation happens gradually, like the growth of a tree. You don't see daily changes. But after a year, you see branches, leaves, and fruit. The soul works the same way. Change starts beneath the surface, in deep layers, then gradually shows in behavior and actions. This doesn't mean stop trying. It means try without attachment to timing. Al-Ghazali developed what we might call the art of active patience. 1. Accept where you are now. Don't fight your reality. This does not mean surrender, but beginning change from realism, not denial. 2. Trust the process. Every seed needs time under the soil before sprouting. Your dark and difficult times might be hidden periods of growth. 3. Focus on the process, not the outcome. Instead of asking, when will I get there? Ask, how can I live this moment with greater awareness? 4. Celebrate small progress. Notice subtle changes. Maybe you no longer get angry as much, or you have more patience with others, or you feel more peace in silent moments. 5. Remember, the journey is the destination. The goal is not to reach a fixed point and stop. The goal is to learn how to live consciously in every moment. Al-Ghazali said, whoever is patient will triumph. But the triumph he meant is not an external victory. It is discovering an inner strength you didn't know you had. A strength that lets you stand in the storm without breaking. That lets you smile in the face of hardship. Not from ignorance, but from deep knowing that all things pass, and what remains is your true core. In the last year of his journey, Al-Ghazali discovered a secret that can transform any life in a single moment. He wrote, repentance is to regret what has passed, to abandon what you are in, and to resolve not to return. But this definition is deeper than it seems. It is not just regret over past mistakes. It is something more radical. A decision to return to your true self. We all carry within us two versions of ourselves. The first is the wounded ego, full of fear, anxiety, and need for control. This version interacts with the world from lack and need. The second is the authentic soul, connected to wisdom, love, and peace. This version interacts with the world from fullness and confidence. True repentance is the daily, moment-by-moment decision to shift from the first version to the second. This does not happen once and end. It is a constant choice. For example, when someone criticizes you, you can respond from the wounded ego, defending, attacking, withdrawing, or from the authentic soul, mindful listening and wise response. When facing difficulty at work, You can react with fear and anxiety, or with trust and wisdom. Al-Ghazali taught a simple exercise to cultivate this awareness. Before responding to any situation, take a deep breath and ask yourself, from which place inside do I want to respond? From fear or love? From lack or fullness? From ego or soul? This simple question turns automatic reactions into conscious choices. True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. True freedom is the ability to choose who you want to be in every moment. Al-Ghazali said, "He who knows himself knows his Lord." Now we understand, knowing yourself is the path to knowing God, not as a distant entity, but as the presence of truth and love within you. If you want to walk this path, begin today. Begin by slowing down. Begin by listening. Begin by asking, who am I? What do I really want? What is missing? What is the truth beyond my fears and stories? The answers may not come immediately, but the questions will open a door. Step through it, and know that the greatest journey is the journey home. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe. Right below, I choose the path of awakening. Let's walk this journey together.